So hello, everybody. We have a great workshop for you today on how to harness SMS for lasting subscriber connections. And as we all know, connections and engagement with our subscribers, once they hit that subscribe button, means everything to us. It means longer lifetime value. It means increased revenue. And it means a subscriber that's connected with your brand. And in these days, with so much noise out in the market, so much competition and declining share of wallet that we're all competing for, it's really, really critical for us to engage our customers in the most effective way possible. So that's why we have Ken Rapp here with us today, who's going to lead us in this workshop. He is the CEO of Blustream Corporation, and he's one of these guys. He's an entrepreneur. He loves to build things and create things, founding businesses and creating markets and doing a lot of different things in his career. And his latest endeavor is really focused on SMS and AI, focused on subscription recurring revenue. And Ken's going to talk a little bit more about his specific expertise. But Ken, I wanted you here to lead this workshop. So no matter what people are doing to implement SMS in their business, they can walk away today with some great how-to information to make sure that what they're going to be doing is more effective. And given your expertise, I am sure we're going to achieve that goal. So with that, Ken, I'm going to hand the microphone over to you, and let's get going with our workshop and take it away.
Thank you, Kathy, so much for the invitation and for the opportunity here today. And I'm looking forward to sharing what we've been up to and my experiences with our audience today about how to use, let's see, how do I move my...
There you go.
How to use SMS and AI to create a connected subscriber. I'll start by telling you a little bit about me. I love to talk about my family, and I have some grandchildren now, which is great. I am living the dream out there, playing in a rock and roll band, and I'm so passionate about product ownership. We all have purchased products and owned products and have said to ourselves, I wish that product talked to me or told me what I needed to know before something happened or I was ready for something. And so we're going to talk about, I'll spend time today on that topic. But anybody who wants to circle back on family or rock and roll music, let's do it. Today, what I will cover is this huge opportunity that you are all well aware of. Then, how do we use AI and SMS or text messaging to connect our subscribers? And what is the technology? We hear so many buzzwords out there about technology. So I'm just we can't go into a detailed deep dive. We could do that post this meeting, but I'll give you some of the words and how they may relate to what we can do. And then a step-by-step approach, a pretty easy step-by-step approach for your business to be able to deploy this kind of technology. And finally, we'll take a look at the economics. It's compelling when you can retain more customers. And you know that better than we do. We partner with our customers to help them retain more customers. And once they do, it's amazing how black and white it is. It comes right to the bottom line. So a little bit about Blustream. We're on a mission to help connect you to your customers through innovative product experiences that grow your business at the intersection of you and your customers, linked by your products. And it's a well-known fact that a connected consumer who's happy will spend 10 times their first purchase. And so it's actually interesting that there's a real crisis going on we're spending more money on CAC, we have falling retentions and lower LTV, and in the subscription economy, many of the customers we work with, you're losing potentially 50% of your customers over the first 6 to 12 months. And so to us, that green section of the curve that I'm showing here, And you're all very much aware of all this. That's why I'm going so quickly for these first few opportunity slides. That's the opportunity, that green lost revenue area. If we can just increment by 5 to 10%, it's going to provide revenue, direct measurable revenue to your company. And that's what we're here to talk about. How can we apply AI, SMS, other tools that might, and a little bit of a different view on a customer relationship to after the sale, after we've spent our money on getting the customer, and how could we apply the technology to create that connected subscriber for life? So up until now, it's not been the focus of a lot of technology platforms. Most of the focus has been pre-sale or after-sale customer service. But the product ownership arena is where Blustream is really working hard to partner with companies and build that side of your business. So let's take a look at what it might be like to have connected subscribers that are powered by SMS. So we like to ask the question from the product perspective. Imagine if you were your product and you could give it a voice and it could ask questions or talk to your customers the moment that they unboxed your product or they first came to experience your service. And when they went home or when they got the box, they actually got a interactive dialogue through SMS that's personalized to them about, hey, have you ever had this before? Or if you have, would you like some tips? Or how's it going? And things on the what we call the onboarding or unboxing stage of ownership. And then they move into the usage stage. So as I use the product, are the messages, it creates a whole new opportunity to message your customer around maybe if they're playing an instrument, how often do they play? Or if they're halfway through the bottle of cream, what might be different than if they're just opening it for the first time? And then last but not least, there are moments available to us to create this connected subscriber on care and maintenance of the particular product. Maybe in the pet industry, it's as our puppy becomes a young adult and then an adult and then an elderly puppy dog, how does the care change? So let's take a look at a couple of examples. This one, subscription, Cassie got her supplement and she didn't think she could use it today or mix up her smoothie today because she didn't have any almond milk, and right away gets a tip that says, by the way, it's okay if you have some almond butter, you could mix in some water and you actually could have your smoothie, and she happily has her smoothie today by providing that tip. If we look at another example, say in the health-related industry, here's an example where some people might find out they have something like diabetes, and you can interact in dialogue around what might be your biggest fear. And here they're saying it's diet. And so providing the right resource on diet for this particular stage of a new people who are just learning they have diabetes, or they might be their age or their demographic, and you can really help them with the right resources. So amazing trust built around that kind of an interactive dialogue. Here's an example of where a company can find out that Lucy, the dog, loves bacon and peanut butter treats. And so by knowing that information, seeing if they can ask their customer, their pet parent, if he or she could provide a 4 or 5 paw star review for them or improve their NPS by having that relationship. And last but not least, with memberships or in the music industry, renting instruments, band and orchestra, or if it's gyms or spas or whatever, you really can trigger off of the usage. Here we've asked some questions. The AI and SMS is asking questions about the learning going on with Brian and how often is he playing. And come to find out he's playing pretty often, and so he might want to learn about changing his strings. And maybe he needs some rosin for that bow, and so the right link can go there for an after-sale, aftermarket, consumable opportunity for some rosin or some strings or a new bow or some lessons. So Those four examples, what I was really trying to do is give you the feeling, the magic of what it could be like if you could interact with your customers around your products in different scenarios. Those are not the only examples, but they kind of cover the gamut from the direct connection, the resources, some materials. And what's great is you've likely already got all of the content you need on your website or in your training manuals or your guides. And we simply connect those up with this kind of AI and SMS deployment. So I'm going to shift gears now to how does the technology work? I'm not going to go really deep we have experts on our staff, happy to connect people, any of you, with them. But I'll go deep enough that we understand how powerful these tools are. And I like to start here by saying, boy, I don't know about all of you, but I certainly hear AI every day. Something crosses my email that talks AI. Somebody's renamed their company or changed what they're doing and added the words AI or the letters AI to the end of it. And text messaging is just such a more connected way, SMS or texting. And so some of the related technologies I'm going to touch on are zero-party data, what is generative AI and natural language processing, machine learning, large language models, as they apply to connecting you with your customer around your products.
So Ken, I have a quick question for you before you move on. So sure. With texting, I think a lot of people feel that texting is you just preload a bunch of answers, questions and answers. And can you talk a little bit about, while that might be good, what does AI or adding some sense of learning module, capability, why should somebody add that into their tech stack if they're really thinking of deploying texting and all of that? Excellent question.
First of all, I love the question. We really recommend that you harness these technologies because, like you said earlier, AI and SMS can be used, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it may produce the wrong result or not the desired result, put it that way, Kathy. So I'm going to actually touch on the specific piece of your question around using the data to automatically personalize the experience in a moment. But to answer it at a top level, the application of these technologies have enabled the ability to build trust. And by building trust with the messages, you then earn the right to go personal on recommendations for product, services, revenue generating types of cross-sell, upsell, as well as to keep that customer retained and connected to your subscription business. The term we use, and we've known it in marketing for a long time, the buyer's journey is something that there's lots of expertise out there. Think of this as the next step being the owner's journey. So to lay out the journey, and it's not as simple as sort of a fixed, okay, we have 8 weeks to go before the webinar, we're going to start campaigning on a journey. What it's really all about is a life cycle of that product ownership. That's how we look at ownership journeys are focused on the complete life cycle of owning a product, from unboxing to using it to taking care of it. Did that help answer your question?
I think it does.
Great. And it actually starts here. So we'll dive right in. You teed us up here perfectly. It starts with, above the line, we've got website behaviors and interactions. But what we really want is we want to get the voluntary customer information about their interests, their preferences, what's motivating them, so that that's called zero-party data, when your customer is actually voluntarily giving you information, giving you data because they trust you'll use it to help them. And that's what personalization, and there's where the power of AI can really help us. Because as we gain that data and knowledge about a customer's owning your product or using your product, we then have the power of AI to use that data to personalize the interactions. So here I've listed a few areas, and this is all, think of it as I mentioned earlier, the unboxing, usage, and care interactive dialogues that are generating responses like yes or no, or I play my violin 2 hours, or I've never used this cream before. All of those become the data that is loading the models for our AI. And I'll briefly mention here, there's 4 types that can be applied to product ownership and the journeys. You know, generative AI is great because you could take your unboxing guide and your maintenance guide or care guides and bring them in to automatically create the journeys for you over time and things like that. The natural language processing is great because we all want to ask a question. When we have a digital concierge experience, we want to be able to just type in whatever we want and ask a question or respond the way we want to respond and have the platform and the cloud automatically know what we've said or what we're asking or ask us for clarification. When we look at large language models, you can think of that in terms of conversation. So as the systems learn more and get more data, not only personally for a particular product owner, but also for across all those product owners, we want, and we now can use this kind of technology to create a conversation that's so personal to that consumer or that product subscriber. And then finally, to your question earlier, Kathy, the analytics and the power of looking across messages across your population or going deeper into a particular consumer or product owner uses what's called machine learning to then create that personalization. And the way I think of it is actually, we've probably, everyone on this call has looked at a Carfax before, where I'm going to buy a car and I go out and I look at Carfax because I want to know, like, has anybody got in an accident and have they taken care of this car before I buy it? This is the kind of platform and thinking of product ownership that you can use for creating the owner's product facts for your company, your products and business.
So I have another question on AI for you, expert Ken. So for anybody, if you can go into the chat, I am curious how many people understood these 4 elements of AI that Ken just broke out and explained. So if you can put that in there, and then Ken, is this, if somebody's looking at an AI tool, do these 4 elements automatically come with the AI tool, or what types of questions do people need to ask to make sure they're getting the right type of AI tool that they need for their specific business?
So the answer is it's all over the map. There are some leaders. I would recommend, if you have a specific case, our resources are your resources. You know, Kathy, for inviting us to do that, we're happy to share. I can get the smarter folks and the sharper tacks in the box available to talk with any of you guys on the call and the webinar that want more information about your specific use case. We're very happy to do that.
Yeah, I think that's important. As everybody knows, from recurring billing and processing and now AI, it is all over the map. So I think it's important to tap into those who really understand it. So I guess everybody's being shy today, so nobody answered. So I guess we can go on.
No problem. But I totally agree with you. It's really remarkable how much noise there is on the line about AI now. And the use cases are limitless, and that can be scary because they're so limitless, but it actually is a very powerful tool if it's used right. So as I sort of bring in the last couple of thoughts about the technology, one of the thoughts to consider is that there's actually 2 life cycles at play when you think about our products and our product owners. The product itself might have brand new unboxing, never opened that seal before on the cream. And then as it gets used over time, and the weather and maybe where the location is can affect the product itself. If it's a guitar, it can be, I'm in a cold New England winter right now in Massachusetts, and it's cold out there and dry. And so that's the product life cycle attributes. The owner lifecycle attributes they run from, has your customer ever owned the product before? What kind of maybe skin care have they used? What are some of the other lifestyles? Are they drinking smoothies because they want to lose weight? Do they want a healthier diet? Are they going to run a marathon next spring? And those are very different lifestyle types of attributes. And what you want to do is combine those for the personalization of the messaging. And that's the power underneath the hood of AI. And so SMS is great because now we're all very used to texting. And so in summary, what happens is the interactive dialogues, triggering the messages based on the skill and the usage of your products, your customer, your products, creates this personalized lifetime connection between you and your customer. Here's an example. Your dog's already mastered the puzzle toy. So that's great to say, okay, maybe it's time to learn some new tricks. Or have you given your dog supplements before? Some of our customers in the pet industry have said supplements may take time before you'll see the effect, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 3 months. And yet when we buy a supplement, the print is pretty small on the package, and then trying to figure out it's going to be a month or two before I should see a shinier coat on my puppy or more spring in her step. All those things you can turn into these owner journeys and help your customer really love your brand and your products. So that being said, just to bring the technology in for a landing, we clearly see that this is an area, after sale product ownership is an area that's very complementary to the pre-sale automation, the purchase order management, and the product service and support. And the data that's generated from product ownership then can power the other systems to be more effective. For example, in a product service environment, being able to drill into that product owner facts of all the history of usage and attributes, or being pre-sale, for example, running a campaign targeted directly at pet owners of dogs that are 50 pounds or greater and more than 10 years old, rather than doing a generic campaign. It can be much more effective for the dollars spent on CAC.
So
Okay.
Ken, I've got a couple questions as we transition. One is, how do you keep the AI from straying from the intended purpose? They've used AI on sales chat widget, which I think that's what a lot of us have had experience on. So I think that's really good to kind of compare and contrast that. And it deviated from the point of the conversation. So that's question number one. And then another question, which I think is really good to address, is what type of engagement should people expect? What's the response rates? I know in our promotion we said, hey, email can give you a 20% lift, and using SMS texting and all that can double that. But I think it's important for us to really talk about what the difference in response and the impact on overall kind of retention and growth. So if you could address those, that'd be fabulous.
I would love to. Those are two excellent questions. The first one around straying from the intended use, and the second one being around engagement. So we have, this is a journey for all of us. The technology is moving so fast that we're going to continue to go with it. And as I started, we're a little bit more of a laggard on this than we are on the forefront. With our team, we're going slow because we don't want to have something get out of control, which is the first question. The worst thing you'd want is to have a question come in and then a competitor's product be the recommendation. I mean, that would be horrible. Or providing a best practice that is someone else's best practice, not your product. So we see this first question around making sure the bumpers are up as critical. And I'll give you an example of how we see this all unfolding and how we're in our labs we've been working with it. We asked a question about why does my dog a generic question to, an AI tool. Why is my dog jumping on other dogs in the park? And the response we got back was, well, dogs jump on other dogs in the park because they want to have fun. And then what we did is we took the metadata, or all the attributes and zero-party data we had, and we added that to the question. And we got a very different answer. We said, why is my dog Susie, a 2-year-old Springer Spaniel in Worcester, Massachusetts, jumping on other dogs in the park? And the answer came back, this could be a sign of some socialization issues. Here's the name of a trainer with a link that you might want to contact. You can see the completely different scenarios when you added the metadata and personalization about the product. So, we want to go slow. I would recommend going slow. There are some use cases like potentially helping, write blogs and do some things that we as humans are going to review first. And that's our attitude, is make sure that we put the bumpers up and harness in the technology for the use that you want. So it's interesting. And then the other question about engagement I'm going to get to in a moment as we wrap up, because the engagement is unbelievable. It's off the charts. We see 60+% engagement, which we define as consumers responding to a question or clicking on a link or answering a multiple choice, or in our technology, you can use keywords with a directory that you can provide to your customer that says, I'm ready to move on, or I need some help or something. And so we get 60+% engaged. I'll show you that at the end. We're almost there.
And I have one more question, which is important because we have a number of media companies as well, some magazine and others, some even digital companies. So can you give an example of a use case, like with the pet products or anything like that, of how they could be thinking about leveraging the messaging as once somebody subscribes to a magazine or a subscription?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And we have a series of templates and a library of great practice, I'll call it, for first-time owners to unbox and learn and onboard about your company and the value you're providing around the products. And then we have a series of templates, and we call them blueprints because we're Blustream, but they're what they are journeys around the ongoing personalized usage and enjoyment of your products and services. So if I'm getting a journal that I want to be reading on an ongoing basis, learning about what I like there and what I don't. And then finally, if you have, things that might be more consumables around, physical goods, we have maintenance and care, a library of journeys around those. So I think you want to think about your customer in those 3 stages of ownership or usage. One is I'm new and I'm unboxing, onboarding. The second is I'm just using it all the time, and here's my usage patterns. Give me more insights and value for my usage patterns. And finally is, can someone please remind me that it's time to put away my lawnmower for the winter and I should change the oil? So that's the third.
Yep. Well, I mean, the example that I could think of is that I subscribe to an ADHD magazine because we have that in our family. So I can imagine that your technology would understand the age of people I'm trying to learn about ADHD with resources and then other types of information and news that they publish. So I think that's great. I'll let you get going, and I see that there's other examples of different types of companies. So why wouldn't we address the rest of these really great questions at the end so you can get through everything? So
yeah, but thank you. Then that was a great example you just used. See, you as a company have content already. You've got instruction guides, unboxing guides, you have care guides, you have educational materials. You've done a ton of work to prepare these marvelous documents and landing pages, and they're on for most of our customers, they're on their website or they're in their training areas, and they sit there static. And this is a way to bring them to life at exactly the right moment. So to your point, in a place where there's I'm in a health related, or I want to get more healthy, or I want to exercise more, it's a marvelous way to learn a little and think of it differently. The consumer, your product buyer, wants the help. It's just never been available. It's been too hard to do. Now, there are some great examples. I had recently got another Apple iPhone, and I unboxed it. It told me, stick this next to my old one, and it automatically found my Wi-Fi and synced it all up. That's the experience that we all want. And but Apple obviously has plenty of resources, financial and human, to go off and build data scientists and software development. And we really think that's the opportunity for everyone. Everyone should be able to create that experience for their customers. So here's a kind of 1, 2, 3, 4 approach. First is, we start by understanding your guides and your maybe your content and your educational materials, and we load those in and help you learn how to build those owner journeys and make them available for SMS. We then work with you on how are you going to sign up your subscribers. In some cases, it could be you want a brand around it. We have some companies that said, this is a VIP concierge club. We're going to improve our brand by helping customers, in the aquatics arena, this Blue Shark Journey company. It's part of who they are now. They provide you with help so that less goldfish have longer lives. We extend the lives of fish, let's put it that way. But you could do, some of our customers just use QR codes in the box or on the box. And then there's always, point of sale, whether it's Shopify or another point of sale, TriTech, depending on the industry, just click a button and you automatically registered your customer. Once they're on, the cloud and the AI personalizes the experience. The journeys, the SMS and AI create a customer experience that retains. We have retained communities of 90+% across Blustream. So as you look across all our customers, we run and we pay a lot of attention to that number. That's a group of your customers, our customers, consumers who are continuing to get messaged and want the information they're getting. And it kind of works from the baseline data to responses that get us started, and then the engine's running, and it's time for puppy classes is the right message at the right time. Lastly, you can imagine the power of this data. So to improve those campaigns pre-sale, to look at even R&D, if the majority of your customers have pets that are older than 10 years and bigger than 50 pounds, you may decide that your next product extension wants to address that market. And so now you have data, zero-party data, voluntarily given to you from your customers because they really appreciate that you care enough about them to be helping them with their ownership experience of your subscription. So it really does come down to a pretty straightforward process. Let me wrap up this afternoon, morning session by just touching on the financials, and then we can open up the floor again, Kathy. So you all know this, so I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on it. What you may not know is that when, in our experience, engaging customers, connecting with them around their product experience, the product ownership connection, is just supercharging retention, and that's driving revenue. So this is the current data across our customer base: 90+% retained community, 65% engaging in questions, answers, dialogues, directories, asking questions, getting help. Doubling this morning, one of our customers, we tripled their lifetime value by continuing to monitor the monthly retention against that curve. And that's driving also incremental sales, because now not only do you retain the customer retention revenue, the revenue related to the retention, but you're also complementing the products. You have other products and services that, for example, that aquatics company has a complementary product if your tank gets a little cloudy. And so not only does it help keep it clear, but you can add more to it. So what it's all about, and as I bring this session in for landing, I just want to say thanks to everyone for joining. It's all about this green area. And, we exist to try and help you and to partner with you to take advantage of technologies out there that will help us. A small amount of increase in that green area creates a large amount of revenue for you directly with the same rough cost that you're already spending. And one of the ways we look at the use case is through a financial ROI calculator, where if you load in your annual spend, you load in your current churn over or retention over a certain period. Here happens to be 3 years, year by year, and then estimate using a connected customer what the new retention would be. It drops to the bottom line what the direct financial impact will be. And this is typically where we start to then, this is the North Star of where we head in a relationship from day one, is we'll then work with you to achieve these kinds of goals. This, I know it's hard to see, but at the bottom rectangle, it talks about this particular customer is looking at a 2.9 month return on their investment for their team and for the technology to deploy.
I'm glad you clarified that it was months, because I wasn't sure if that was years or months. So that's months.
Yeah, months, and that's
okay.
43. In this example, it's 43 customers given their average selling price.
So is there a floor of volume in terms of subscribers that it makes sense to start thinking about going down this path, or if you're too low a volume, it doesn't make sense? Because if you're B2B, you're lower volume, but you have a higher average order volume, and obviously B2C, you've got some great volume that you can really do some interesting things with. What's your advice on that?
Yeah, I actually think that is exactly right. And that's why we use the calculator. I probably don't have the latest and greatest, but if your business is $50 a year annual average selling price, and your churn rate or your retention rates are in this range, yeah, there could be strategic reasons to do it, but those are that's sort of a barometer on, if it's $25 to $50 a year, you may be able to do some other things, and we're happy to connect you with people who could help you there. If it's north of $50, $100, and your churn rates are beyond 10, 20, 30% over 6 to 12 months, this will have a direct impact. Connecting to your customer around the product ownership, creating a community of connected consumers will have a dramatic impact on your revenue and your lifetime value. So with that, I just want to wrap up by saying thank you again, and we can open the floor for some Q&A. We are committed to this space. This is, as you mentioned earlier, Kathy, my career, I've had, been so lucky to be involved with taking time to look at an unmet need is what we call it. And this is an area, after sale product experience and ownership is an area that didn't get a lot of attention. And we're really excited to be working, with all of you in the community and to build this business. Awesome. And help, and particularly in physical goods and services companies.
Yeah. And one of the things, I'm going to let everybody know, we will have a replay of this, and I will CC Ken, and you won't see anybody else on the webinar. But if you have any direct questions, not even specifically about Blustream, and I feel comfortable saying about this because Ken told me before we started, if you have any questions just about the topic in general, Ken's really, really smart. So don't be shy. Reach out to him on that. So Ken, what I'd like to do is do a little bit of role playing, because most of the questions that we're getting are, well, what about my type of company? I know that your business has really started out in some different verticals, but let's brainstorm. I'm a news company. I provide news. how do I engage people? Because news is such a big commodity. How would you recommend to me to implement this? Am I just repurposing my content via this, or how am I engaging my customers? What would you recommend to me?
Well, I'd have to ask a lot more questions, but I'm happy to give you some of the experiences we've had.
Yep.
Talking with companies that might have a website where they're providing value to a community could include things like, are there any hospitality items that might be interesting to your readers? Do they have kids? Are they a little older like me? What kind of interests and needs might they have? Would it be valuable for them to learn about it's springtime is coming, and there's some specials at a flower shop that will help you take care of the flowers as they go forward, things like that. So we haven't worked with a newspaper or a news provider directly, but we've talked around the edges, and those are the kinds of questions we'd work with you to define journeys for.
And now let's snap our fingers. Boom. I am now a professional services provider. And how would, I mean, that's completely different because there's expertise, there's deliverables, there's all sorts of education. How would you want to get us thinking if we're a professional service provider?
So I'd like to ask of what, but I'll answer first, and then you can think about how to answer like what types of services. So what's marvelous about services is that if you think about the life cycle of your customer and when you might want to touch them and why, you can kind of lay out a journey that says, okay, my first engagement is this, but I really want to ask some questions and keep some information and educational materials handy for them and have value to them on maybe a monthly basis by asking questions and letting them get a personalized view. And then ultimately do some annual checkup or some kind of survey, or then provide forums, or maybe you have webinars, or maybe you're running an event. So there's
I've got an example. So apparently we're a law firm. So if you think through, there's different specialties of the law firm, and because we were covering the FTC's click to cancel seminar this week, I could imagine that we would find out who of our clientele is really interested in recurring revenue regulation, if you were example, and pull them in, provide some updates, and even point them to the live streaming, which was actually really interesting. I hope everybody had a chance to watch it. But what would you recommend? That's what I can think of off the top of my head. How would you advise a law firm?
Again, it would matter which type of law they practice. Are they helping the real estate industry? Are they helping, maybe it's employee relations? So let's take an example like employees. So I really believe, that the engagement, the cultural engagement with an employer and employee over time is so valuable. And by having an interactive dialogue just kind of automatically going on in the background, will give you, as a law firm, or if you're part of that kind of practice, the ability to provide more value personally to your customer, your employee, as they go from the onboarding. A lot of us have onboarding programs, and then it's okay, here we go. However, there's a lot more information in people's lives going on where you might be able to bring them more value and more service. So that comes to mind. We've spoken with a couple of companies about like the HR side of the equation. Another one is in the real estate business. We're working with a couple of real estate firms, and home ownership is a pretty interesting product. So the first time owner, you don't know that it's getting cold out. You should probably turn the water off in your pipes, and that the home inspector already has all of the data about your home, that's accessible to us. So we can grab that and then start to really help you with your home ownership experiences. So it
Okay,
sort of depends on I
it
can't
depends.
trial law, like, or doing criminal law. I don't know.
Yep,
You know,
yep. All
I've
good, all good.
never
Well, we
gone
have
through that.
another type of question, and I was thinking of an example of a good SMS strategy and a bad SMS strategy. And it kind of ties into this question that just came in. How do you position SMS AI within a larger communications engagement strategy? So you've got emails, you've got the on-site, web, paid social, organic social, all the different things. And how do you do this while trying not to over communicate, bombarding the user? And the examples I was thinking of, well, when we were just opening up, I gave the example of an unnamed presidential candidate that without permission, I just keep saying, hey, I'm so-and-so, because I live south of the border in Massachusetts, and New Hampshire is next week. So it's all hypey up in New Hampshire right now if you're a certain type of presidential candidate. And so I keep hitting delete report junk, and I will get 2 more in a day. And even worse, my father, God rest his soul, passed away 10 months ago. He's getting them on my phone now too. So that's an example of spamming and just doing it the absolute wrong way, because I did not want to opt in. But a good example is there's a consultant, I think Brendan Bouchard. He does like online training and things like that. I did one thing with him, and I started getting text messages from him, but all of his text messages are really engaging, and he's giving a lot of information. So I look forward, even though I haven't bought anything from him yet, I look forward to those emails. And so to me, that's kind of the segue into this question about how do you integrate it into the overall strategy? So that's kind of long-winded, but I wanted to give those 2 extreme examples. So Ken?
Yeah, you covered a couple of different really important points in that. Thank you for sharing that, because we all experience exactly what you're saying. So we take a very hard line in our world that the consumer is the one who dictates. And that's why the data is so important for our customer to know that when we start a journey, we get permission. We get active permission from a consumer and tell them why. We would like to help you with your unboxing or your maintenance or your care or taking care of using the product. And so we are very hard line on this. We're very concerned about what you described as spam in the SMS world. We're not limited to SMS, by the way. We're using SMS today because that's a very high, active, engaged community. We're all used to it. But our company, we think that the engine that runs the journeys needs to communicate. We have apps and WhatsApp and all sorts of stuff. So, but you can use email. The thing is, to us, the beauty is it has to be valuable. So here's the second part of your question. We're talking about someone who bought something from you. If I bought something from you, I actually want to know, like, now I might already be an expert guitar player, so I don't need you to start me from here's how you string your guitar. But I actually would appreciate some information from that company about why the strings I'm using might be great, but there's an alternative based on the fact that I play 6 to 8 hours a week. So it's a different mindset when it's coming from the product in the center of your universe, rather than really trying to get a new customer. They're very different animals. I'll say one other thing that you raised. It's so much of a hard situation out there with SMS and phone numbers that the carriers are now really, really clamping down, and I applaud that. They should absolutely shut down anyone who's misusing this vehicle of communication with a customer.
Absolutely. I have another question. Do you use how are you using SMS? Because a lot of the examples were, let's say, upselling. So what's the hard rules do you abide by? Is it just pure selling, pure upselling, or pure engagement? Because we gave examples of all of the above. What advice would you give to this person and everybody on Zoom today?
First 5 messages have to build trust and engage. Do not sell, do not cross sell, do not try and show them that you got them on a text message and then right away you're going to sell them something. Yeah. Our consumers we're all consumers. We get it when someone's doing that. I'll give you an example. I had a conversation with my wife yesterday about she loves flowers, and she's always has flowers, and she tells me I buy them for her, even though I think, she buys them and says, "You bought me those, honey?" And I say, "That's great." And I said, "Why aren't there any flowers on the counter?" And she said, "Well, it's that time of year where I always dry them out, or, the water goes green too fast." And I said, "Well, what if there was a flower shop that was talking to you, on your phone with some text messages about how best to take care, and she said, "Oh yeah, I could add a little sugar, or, change the water a couple times." If they reminded me to do that, I probably would keep buying flowers from her. So it's this mindset around the product being the flowers, that's what it's all about, is creating engagement well before you even bring up, 5 messages, 10 a month later. Hey, we offer a Flower of the Month club that comes with all of this VIP white glove care. Would you like to learn about that? And let them have a link that just teaches them about it. Don't bring them to the landing page with, "Give me your credit card." That's the behavior none of us want.
Yep. We are running out of time. So let me try and just, the word I would like everybody to leave with today is connection. Because in today's world with subscription recurring revenue, your subscribers, you need to connect with them on an emotional level so that when they have a question, they want to come to you. You're going to be the answer of what they need, and you are the expert of whatever it may be. Ken, our expert on SMS and onboarding and engagement, he talked about some amazing results that you can get. But I want to talk to you and leave you with this other thought, because many of your subscribers today are canceling your subscriptions off platform. And you're probably saying, "Well, Kathy, what's off platform?" That means they're canceling via banks, they're canceling via standalone subscription management apps, and they don't even need to go to you anymore. So it's even more imperative to create that connection so that if they have any questions, they're always coming to you first because they want to come to you first. And it's not some sort of loophole that they have to go to you. You want that connection, and however you do it, it's really what you need to be focusing on in 2024 and beyond. So I'll get off my soapbox on that one. But I'm going to be sending out a replay link once we get everything all set. I'll put Ken's email on that for everybody. So if you have any direct questions, you can certainly reach out to him on anything. And Ken, thank you so much. It was a really, really great session today. And for everybody joining us today, thank you so much.